Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night Halloween live stream. So just like the title and thumbnail suggest, where you have to really take a look forward because right now the market itself is condensing, kind of coiling up. There's really nothing we can do about it. Now, there's a lot of things that are going on. Was that the top? Is this the top? Are we going to keep going or whatever else it is? Nobody really knows. We can throw out some pretty good guesses. What we really need to do now is just make plans because it's just like Stanley Druckenmiller talks about. He says a lot of the time, what the best investors do is do nothing. So congratulations, this is the time to actually just sit back, maybe make some few plans and move forward. So what I want to talk about tonight, this was Tom Lee, and he was talking at the Future Investment Initiative, and he said a couple of interesting things, and I want to kind of work through that with you guys, and then we'll get into Q&A and what he talked about. So this is breaking up into three parts. The clip is only 2 minutes, but the things he talked about as far as like with what's going on in macro, what's happening with the future of crypto, and then lastly, if Bitcoin, if it compares to gold 2.0, if we tokenize gold on the blockchain, which is Ethereum, how would that be different? And you have to remember, take what Tom Lee says with a grain of salt. He is the ultimate bull, especially on Ethereum, speaking of which, because he has a nice little company called BitMine, and he's bumping billions and billions of dollars in that and gobbling up Ethereum. So just what he talks about here, I just think it's interesting and something to note as we move forward, as we plan for the future. So take a listen. This is about 30 seconds or so.
Crypto has been a huge outperforming asset class. If we look at the last 10 years, $1 million invested in the S&P 500 today would be worth $3 million. $1 million invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago would be worth $116 million. $1 million invested in Ethereum 10 years ago would be worth $500 million today. So as far as asset class performance, there is nothing even approaching the returns that have come from crypto.
Okay, so that kind of feels contradictory to what you're probably experiencing right now. Because if you have gone through maybe one cycle, two cycles, perhaps, then you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, this doesn't make any sense because we're talking about some massive appreciation and return on investment. Yeah, if you got in early, but you have to remember every investor has taken their time and it has just elongated. And just sometimes we have to wait a little bit longer than what we thought of. Every time we think we know where the market's going and we have a group think of what's going to happen, it tends to do a little bit different. So what he talked about there, I thought was interesting moving forward. And I think it's something of note about what is actually going on in the macro and where we're going. Because, if you can outperform Bitcoin, if you can outperform the S&P 500, if you can outperform gold, what is happening essentially in the background to make all this happen? Let us not forget that as far as the macro, it's not like it's awful or there's something horrible going on. Look, love him or hate Trump, he's moving forward. And yes, he's going to bomb the market with posts from Truth Social. That's just inevitable. I think people should all study TA, Trump analysis. But things like this are happening. US and China reach an agreement, but experts say it's just a pause in the trade war. Who cares? Who cares if it's a pause? The deal amounted to a 1-year truce between the world's two largest economies. That's all we need. I'll take a 1-year truce. What's going on? China committed to resume purchasing American soybeans. This just happened in the last 24 hours, which they had halted early in the year, and to hold back from restricting U.S. access to rare earth minerals, crucial for the U.S. high-tech industry, artificial intelligence, and who's going to dominate. They also agreed to take steps to crack down on fentanyl, which is a big thing for Trump. That's good. In return, the U.S. would refrain from imposing the additional 100% tariff on Chinese products. Great. Trump had threatened and reduced tariffs to China to only 47%. It also gives China access to American computer chips using AI. Great. Tit for tat. Everybody gets something. Woohoo. We're happy. That is a nice catalyst to move forward. And don't forget, we have another Fed meeting coming up. We just broke 25 basis points, or we had a reduction by Jay Powell. And it looks like for the December meeting, there's about a 69% chance they're going to cut another 25 basis points. That's great. That means businesses can start taking loans. They have more loans. They have more liquidity. They can start hiring more people. They can start doing more additions. And the economy just chugs along. Nothing stops the train. So we see that's pretty good, but that's just the CME tool. But what about Polymarket? Now, this is something interesting. If you take a look at Polymarket, just a couple of days ago, gosh, 3 days, 4 days ago, there was an over 90+% chance we're going to get another 25 basis point cut in December. And we can see, I don't know what happened, but it's going down and down. So I don't really have too much faith in the FedWatch tool. It gets things wrong every so often until you get closer. I would watch Polymarket. It seems to have been the right indicator, even if they have insider information somehow. I don't really care about that. But you can see where things are going. So, you know, maybe we don't get the rate cut. We'll see. However, as a friendly reminder, M2 money supply, I know this is cliche to say this, but M2 money supply, as by bar chart, just read its all-time high, as far as like a plus 17% since September 30th. I mean, that's not too bad. I'm just giving you 17 points. So we're at $22.2 trillion M2 money supply, not too shabby. And then also, don't forget that on top of the rate cuts, the Fed is also going to end QT, which means they're going to stop tightening the balance and buy more bonds. And we can just see here, I don't know if you guys have realized this, but as far as like the Federal Reserve's total assets, this will be the first time, actually the second time, because they added some here in March of 2023. They had reduced their balance sheets, right? They weren't buying bonds. And then over here on March 2023, okay, they added a little bit. But since then, they haven't bought anything. And now they're going to stop that process. I think this is a huge thing. And we can see where it all goes. So we have those things going on. But people will say, but Rob, you know, there's these signs in the background, you know, Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, they're accumulating cash on the sidelines. So there's got to be something brewing. As a reminder, Warren Buffett is, I mean, a pretty great investor, let's be honest. But they've been sitting on cash since Q4 of 2024. And we have the Q2 out, and it's actually 345 billion, just as reflected here. So really what's been going on is Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway have been sitting out for a year waiting for a massive collapse to happen. And it could happen. I'm going to tell you, it should happen. But is it going to happen in 6 months, 12 months, 18, 19 months? Nobody knows. I think it can actually prolong, especially with the Fed doing its job with fiscal policy. Monetary policy. And then as a reminder, even though people get things right, they get things wrong. This is from Algotunas. He talks about Michael Burry, who was in The Big Short. Remember, he made that massive play. And he states this line from the end of a story on Michael Burry making his latest bubble call that literally every reporter wrote about and made a movie about, is what stuck out to me as NVIDIA is up 128% since Q1 and China's up 64% on top of some other things. And the report was that Burry's Scion Asset Management liquidated almost its entire listed equity portfolio in the first quarter of this year, while taking on fresh, bearish wagers on NVIDIA and China-related stocks. So again, if you think like people know, they don't know. They're just educated guessers. And God bless them, they're just trying to do their best. But not everybody gets it right. So I know if you hear like stories about, well, you know, Warren Buffett, well, you know, Michael Burry, well, this guy said it, this guy said it. They're all guessing out there. If you want to see how wrong people are, I did a video about how every single person in 2021 and 2020, their price predictions were way massively off. And it's everybody, including myself. I linked in the description. You can check it out. So anyhow, on top of that, if we're taking a look at like time frames, during that time that Michael Burry sold and Warren Buffett has been on the sideline, I mean, gold went from 18 trillion, almost doubled. It's at 27 trillion. The S&P 500 in October, where are we? October 2024 went from 5,700. Now we're at 6,800. Not too bad. And then Burry and Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, they all missed the biggest play, which would be Bitcoin. Have you ever seen an asset go from 20 cents, or okay, let's say $200 in 2013 to 110,000? This is the Bitcoin price in every Halloween. I think this is important as we kind of get sidetracked with like zooming in too much. 2010, it was 20 cents. 2011, $3. 2012, $11. 2013, $200. 2014, $337. And this is every single Halloween in every year. 2015, $312. All right, you lost a couple bucks, sorry. 2016, $699. 2017, $6,000. You did a 10x, congratulations. 2018, you didn't do squat, and it was a worse year, $6,000. 2019, $9,000. Okay, now we're talking. 2020, $13,000. 2021, $61,000. Thank you so much. I appreciate that I invested in a Bitcoin. 2022, okay, it didn't do so well. Hopefully, hold on. 20,000, 34,000. 2024, hey, congratulations, 72,000. 2025, $110,000. So look, I'm not going to give you too much hope in, but let's just be honest. We're in one of the best sectors, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I still believe Q4 will be good. I'm still going to stick around. I will still be here, and maybe we get extended into Q1, Q2. I got time. Anyhow, let's move on with the show and get back to the main star, which is Tom Lee. So when he talked about that, let me back this up. So we talked about those pieces. Now he's going to talk about the future and where things are going. And I like this part because it allows us to plan and look in the future about what we should potentially get into. Let me bring this up again so you can hear it. And this is about 30 seconds or so. Here we go.
Crypto sits at the intersection today of two super cycles.
Well, let me try that again.
Going to play a very important evidenced by stablecoins and of two super cycles. One is Wall Street moving onto the blockchain, evidenced by stablecoins, and eventually tokenization of assets. But it's also sitting, I think, going to play a very important role in agentic AI. And that means that any region that supports the growth of blockchain and invests in it is going to also be sitting at this important intersection. You know, when I...
Okay, so let me break that down real quick. Because, again, Tom's a huge bull, and of course, he's going to be pro Ethereum. That's just how he is, and I can get it. But to break that piece down, when he was talking about stablecoin, he was talking about the market cap as far as like Ethereum, Tron, Solana, Arbitrum, and BNB. And you can see, and this is the same thesis I've had, which is I think it's not just about the market cap that is within the stablecoins, which you can see that it's the winners are being chosen right in front of your face. Ethereum, Tron, Solana, Arbitrum, BNB. If we take a look at Visa, this is the most cumulative metrics as far as like the stablecoin volume and total transactions. And what do you see again? As far as over 12 months, it's Tron, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, and a little bit of Base, Solana, Arbitrum. And it's broken down by Tether and USDC, which is 93% of the total market cap of stablecoins. So for me, it's the same thing repeating over and over again. I call it the best, which is Binance, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. Binance, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. Binance, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. These are the rails, the chains that are being used by what Tom was talking about as far as stable coins. But he also said another thing, which I haven't been focusing on. I've been neglecting it. And actually, even Larry Fink said he's been neglecting it too. Tokenization. I think we should start to talk about this, especially if we can tokenize anything. We can tokenize equities. We can tokenize land. We can tokenize real estate. Fantastic. What are we going to use? Here's what we're going to use. It's the same thing again. It's the best. It's BNB chain at almost 3%, Solana almost at 4%. Ethereum is at 52.2%, and the layer twos, I guess you can add Arbitrum in there. I guess you can call it Beast, which would be Binance, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Solana, and Tron. But it's the same thing over and over again. And you can just see which altcoins are winning and which altcoins are not. And this is pretty much it. So maybe it's just something to look at and move forward. Oh, also one more thing. I wanted to kind of slip this in. Apparently, and we talked about this like 3 or 4 days ago, Solana just had their staking ETF, and I guess it's getting pretty good inflows. This is from Hunter Horsley. I think he's the CEO of Bitwise. And he talks about 30 million of inflows into BSOL yesterday, which is the ETF for staking. Solana purchase. Now it's 150 million inflow in the last few days. That's pretty good, 150 million. It's a testament not to Bitwise, but to the conviction that investors have in Solana and the work of its community. Grateful to play a Bitwise role. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, is this what I think it is? I thought it was that you get the upside and the price appreciation of Solana, plus you get the yield of the staking. And that's exactly what it is. This is what Ethereum should have been, but unfortunately, Gary Gensler didn't allow it. And here we are. And this looks pretty good. If you got to recommend anything to somebody, Well, you're not a financial advisor, neither am I, so we shouldn't be telling anybody anything. But you could probably say, hey, check this out. Bitwise Solana staking ETF. You get 7.3%, and you get the upside of the ETF. That is Solana and the price appreciation. Not too shabby. Okay. Last piece, and this is kind of the funny one, because Tom's totally wrong here. And I like these parts. So he's going to talk about, well, what is it? Because Ethereum can do everything. If Ethereum's going to do, for stablecoins, you can do tokenization. Why does it just take Bitcoin's job as Gold 2.0? Because Ethereum's awesome. And of course, Tom's going to say that because he's got a huge company that, of course, is betting on the winners. So anyhow, take a listen to this. This is the last piece, and then we'll get into a little Q&A.
When I think about the Bitcoin rationale, why investors buy Bitcoin, I think one of the principal things that draws them here is the idea that Bitcoin is digital gold. It's a store of value in a world that's increasingly digital. What do you all think about the idea of, is Bitcoin going to be attractive if gold itself is available on the blockchain? So that if gold becomes digitized and we can buy it as easily as we can buy Bitcoin, would we still want to own Bitcoin?
The thing about
before Ricardo Salinas starts talking, the guy that's going to talk next is Ricardo Salinas. He's always touted as the third richest man in Mexico. But, I don't know if that's true or not. He's pretty rich guy. But he's been investing in Bitcoin forever and ever and ever. I think back in 2013 during the Grayscale heyday. But what Tom just said about that, look at that smirk. Man, I got to tell you, if there's anybody who's got some gumption, it will be Tom Lee. But it's kind of a ridiculous statement as far as like tokenization, because we've already done it. There's already tokenization of gold, which is on Tether, which is on Ethereum. But I got to tell you, what Ricardo says here, it makes total sense why Ethereum can't be everything. Here you go.
Tokenized gold is that you still have the counterparty risk, and you might show up there and there might not be any gold. The thing about Bitcoin is that the token itself, once you have it in your address, that's it. It's final settlement.
And then hold on. I got to show you. Let's see if it does it.
Final settlement.
Look at that face on Ricardo Salinas. He's like, come on, pal. Ethereum can't do everything. And he's right. But Ethereum can do a lot of good things. Solana can do a lot of good things. Tron can do a lot of good things. And BNB and all that stuff we just talked about. So look, that's it for tonight. I just wanted to give you just a little bit of perspective of the good parts that are going on in the market, what potentially to look at in the future. Now let's roll into a little Q&A and I'll answer all your questions, and we'll get out of here for Halloween. So what is your questions for me? And Cransconator is 100% right. I was going to bring this up, matter of fact. Excuse me. I apologize. A little bit hoarse today. Tether Gold is right there. And it's on Ethereum. So I know what Tom is trying to say. He's like, look, we can do everything. Ethereum can do everything. It can, but Ricardo Salinas had a great point. It's settlement. So you're telling me that if I go back and you say that I've backed this by gold, you better have that gold. And if you don't, well, now I have to have this counterparty risk, which went on in 2022, which is why a couple of different exchanges went down. So he's like, no. We can audit the Bitcoin blockchain every 10 minutes. I know where that is. I know I can see it. I'm going to stick with Bitcoin. And for me, I got to agree with Ricardo on that one as well. But yeah, we already have Tether Gold. It's got a 2 billion market cap. So, I mean, that's what it is. And it's not really like it's going gangbusters. I think it's ranked 64th so far. So that is what it is. Okay. Mary says, have you been on Tron? Was it reasonably easy to use? There was some times, like this was about 6 months ago, a year ago, I was paying some people over in Asia, and the fee was outrageous. It was like $2. I don't know what I was doing wrong. And then somebody told me that when you fund a wallet that has no Tron in it, then it's like an unreasonably high rate. I was like, well, that's a stupid thing to have. Why does everybody like Tron? The reason why everybody likes Tron outside of parts of the United States and the whole United States and Europe is that Tron is a trading pair on Binance predominantly, and it's like everywhere in these like other smaller type of exchanges. So Tron has a bunch of liquidity and it's everywhere. And that's why everybody likes using it. Now they just did an improvement process where they actually lowered that price for transaction cost. And it's way faster. Well, it's not way faster. It's always been fast. It's just easy to use and it's a lot cheaper. So I've been using it now and things are okay. Also, I can stake it on my TANGEM wallet. And I think if you're not staking, then you're missing out on some opportunities. Now, not everything can be staked on your TANGEM wallet. Not everything can be staked on your Ledger wallet, although a lot more can. And yeah, I think Tron's not a bad play. I know Justin Sun is Justin Sun, but hey, you got to have a great marketer, and that guy is one of the best. Gas Fee says, cartel guys are probably the 1,500 richest people in America. Well, that we can prove. I think that's what it was. Meme. I don't do price predictions, Rob, so I'll ask the peanut gallery. Oh, that's a good question for everybody. How high can Tau go? How high do you think it can go? I have no prediction whatsoever of all these. Key to solve these issues very fast. I have some key to. Well, hopefully it blows up. We'll see. Trick or treat. Exactly. Only fell off. Hi, all. Yeah, it's a big bummer. Oh, also, not to be, we were doing so well, but as far as like the returns on October, I'm pretty sure we're down for the month. Let me see. Man, we're doing so good. We actually almost hit October, but unfortunately, and my fears are validated. October is negative 3.89%. And you know what's interesting about this is that the last time October was down, because historically speaking, it's usually green. The last time it was down was 2018. And it was down almost the exact same. Wow. Negative 3.89, negative 3.91. And you know what the next 2 months were in 2018? Negative 37 and negative 7. Well, that's awful, Rob. Yeah, but there's a caveat to that. And the caveat to that is that this was after one of the biggest bull runs of all time. I mean, it was greater, as far as like return on investment in 2017. 2017 was it. ICOs were maniacal. It wasn't as many altcoins out there because there was just fewer choices, but you did pretty well with just picking up some decent ones. So in 2018, which is 1 year post all-time highs, you have a bad bear market. It's just what it is. But as far as like 1 year post halving, let's take a look. So this is 2010, 11, 12. So 2012 was the first halving. The Genesis block for Bitcoin was 2009. So 2012 is the halving. 1 year post halving, we have a very nice fat green month, negative 25. But I mean, look at that, 400% in a month. Get out of here. So then what about 2016? Well, October, look at those, 54%, 63 and 28, very nice. Then of course, 2018. So in the two post-halving years, 2013 and 2017, October is extremely, extremely green. In 2021, well, 2020 was 27. And look at this. It was 40% in 2021. And then it had 2 bad months. So we now have 3 post-halving years, 2013, 2017, 2021, green October. On the 4th year, or the 4th post-halving year, it is red. And that, my friends, means it is 100% different than the other 3 times. So I guess you could say that this time is a little bit different. Just is what it is. All right. Good night, him. See you later, man. Let's see. I use Tron all day, and the fees are super low, and it's quick. Yeah, see, there you go. Just in my experience. Tron is huge in APAC. Apparently, there's a big with gambling. Oh, well, there you go. Hey, there was a good one by CoffeeZilla. It almost hit like 2 million views in like 24 hours. It talks about the downfalls and pitfalls of gambling and why it's growing so fast. And I can see it because gambling is everywhere. I mean, that Polymarket I just showed you, that's a gambling. I mean, essentially, it's a gambling site. I mean, they're going to say it's different. It's, there's subtle differences that doesn't make it completely gambling, but sure. Okay. Van Line says, Rob, you seem to have more swimming pools than I do underwear. Well, I hope you have more than 3 pairs. You're like, yeah, I got three pairs of underwear. One says Q1, one says Q2, one says Q3. Just kidding. All right. Oh, awesome, Mojo. Currently driving the kids trick-or-treating. So far, no Bitcoin candy. Nice. Mojo, everybody's here. Stellar, XLM, is that Monero or Stellar? I always get them confused. I need to take profits. Well, we need to get back to some profitable ranges. That would be ideal, I think. And let's see. Tamor says the market makers are long in the futures, but buying in spot while in drawdown. Neutral delta play is good. Yeah, it's true. It's all been maybe just chopping sideways for so long. Very, very boring times, but it is what it is, and that's just how it's going to be for a while. I'm okay. Because you know what? Some of the great things is that, we don't have to focus so much on certain things. We can kind of sit back and just go, it's sideways chop. Maybe my DCA takes out every so many days, and off it goes. Let's see. Jake says, Rob, stablecoins are just another word for nothing left to lose. It ain't nothing if it ain't a CBDC. Well, a central bank digital currency is different than, say, a stable coin, because a central bank digital currency, and we're talking about, the central banks of each nation. Now, a stable coin would be an independent company, like a Tether, like Circle's USDC. However, the problem with that is it's very centralized, and governments can get to them and say, we want you to shut this person off. And as a note here, Tether and USDC have reversed transactions already. So that that they can do that. The difference is on a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, government's right there and like, shut this one, this one, this one, this one. Also, we're going to implement a social score. And if they don't hit this, then turn off their banks, turn off everything. And if they can't pay for stuff, they'll be homeless. I've seen some videos. I don't know if they're true, but that's what it is. Rob, happy I win, take profits, and DCA, yeah. I watched Tron, it wasn't so bad. I remember Tron 1982, I think it was, waiting for the new one with Jared Leto, see if it's any good. New type, how is she going to predict? Exactly, how is she going to predict the future? How else? Cranston says Vegas is struggling from what I've been watching. Yeah, have you seen the prices over there? It's ridiculous. I used to live in Vegas for 2 years. Reasonably priced. This was 2016, 2017. I went back and I'm like, you're kidding me. A bottle of water cost me my left kidney? That's ridiculous. It's pretty much what it was. And don't even ask for bottle service. Forget about it. Yes. Thank you, mods. Making my life easier. Making everybody's life easier. And please hit the like if you'd be so kind. Oh, this is good. Rob, did you hear the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, said all of the Polymarket words people were betting on at the very end of the earnings call? No. I saw a snippet on X, but I'm trying to kind of wean myself off X. There's just too much politics and negativity on X. I don't know if you've seen that yourself, but it's pretty bad. So I try to stay off it as much as possible these days. I'll pop in there and post some things, and that's it. But yeah, I saw a snippet. I'm like, I should look into that, and I just didn't. What's your thoughts on MicroStrategy? There was a snippet of a video where Michael Saylor explained how the dividends are essentially tax-free. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, for the average American or anybody who has access to equities, for them to get into it and have a dividend that is tax-free is a major, major advantage. And a lot of people should take advantage of that. But I will tell you though, it's a little concerning that the price itself is down, but it really is attached at the hip to Bitcoin. So there's only so much that they can do, and of course they can only sell so much stock and move things around so much. All right. And I think, yeah, that's it. X is not for me. YouTube is enough. So number next, you're not missing much. Stanley said, I tried CoinLedger, but it shows thousands of transactions missing cost bases. I did the same. If you have problems with CoinLedger, and I had the same issue, it's probably because did you add in every one of your hot wallets, your cold wallets, your centralized exchanges, and then anything that's in between. And that could be any kind of DEX that you've been using. If you add them all in, usually it comes up pretty well. There's some things that I've done, we'll say some questionable transactions across the world, and I'm not going to get those back. So yeah. And Van Life, and let's just leave it here. Rob, you going to buy the upcoming Polymarket coin? Yes, and a lot of it. And my friend Bobby will probably back the truck up and buy a boatload of that as well. That's it for tonight. So look, everybody, it's Halloween. Get out there with the kids, give some candy, all that great stuff. That's it for tonight. Like tonight's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everybody talk about is time sensitive. That's it for this one. Thanks so much, everybody, and I will see you guys on the next one. Adios.